Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unfiltered Flow ELSC, the podcast dedicated to the progression of the fluid power and automation industries. I'm Meghann Cook. That's Alan Burdette. And today it is our great pleasure to welcome Mr. Eric Lanke to the show. Eric is the president and CEO of NFPA. Welcome, Eric.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So prior to NFPA, you had a career at EDI. What influenced you to leave EDI and move into fluid power realm?
Well, EDI is Executive Director Incorporated. It's an association management company headquartered in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I worked for a variety of different professional societies when I worked there. American Academy of Allergy was my primary liaison, if you will. And I wish there was like a fluid power story behind this, but it was really about my career development in the association management industry for the opportunity to become the president or the executive director of an association. And I found this opportunity at the National Fluid Power Association, which was actually 4 miles closer to my house than EDI was. So it worked out pretty well for me.
It's location, 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 like the
Yeah,
realtors
sometimes
say, isn't it?
it's important. I had a very young family at that time, and it was important not to uproot everybody and move them across the country.
NFPA does a wonderful job. They touch on everything from education to innovation to leadership. But when you think of things at the highest level, at your level, Eric, how do you define your role in growing and promoting the fluid power industry?
Yeah, it's a good question. NFPA, its mission is to strengthen the fluid power industry, and we interpret that to mean focused activity in kind of four key areas: bringing the association and the members together into what we call an effective forum. So NFPA is in many ways a true technology-based or supply chain organization. We represent a variety of different stakeholders within that industry: suppliers, distributors, manufacturers, even machine builders, if you will, to a certain extent. So making sure that they have the opportunity to come together and network with each other, educate each other, find new business opportunity. It's a big focus of what we do and how we measure our success in getting that industry to interact and to grow. We also focus a lot on one of a kind and unique market information and data programs to support the industry. Most of the information that NFPA publishes about the fluid power industry comes from the members themselves. They're reporting confidentially to NFPA the sales and order data, if you will, and then we aggregate that information and release it to the members for their own purposes. And it really gives them the unique ability to both understand and make better decisions about their position within the marketplace to help them grow, essentially. We also focus a lot on outward promotion of the industry and the technology. We do that. We help support our members to have appearances at trade shows and to develop technology-based conferences that take place at some of those customer market-facing events, making sure that the latest information about the technology horizons in the industry is available to that broader market. And then finally, we define our success around developing the future workforce for the industry. So we do a lot of work on partnerships with technical colleges and universities and even high schools and middle schools to introduce the technology in the industry to younger people and get them excited about careers. So the degree to which we can do that is also a big measure of our ability to strengthen the industry and to measure our success.
Speaking of that, Eric, the programs like the Fluid Power Vehicle Challenge and the Education Foundation really get students involved early. What have you learned in that process that's actually resonating with the students?
I think it's really the technology itself that is the thing that appeals, that has the stickiness piece of it. So, the Action Challenge is a program that we do introducing fluid power to very young students. That happens in middle schools primarily. And there they're dealing with, very basic fluid power technology, if you will. We're talking plastic syringes and water for fluid and, devices constructed out of balsa wood and paper gussets and things like that. But you see their eyes light up and you see the excitement grow when they can actually make something that moves. And they get very interested and excited about their opportunities to do that. The other end of the spectrum is our vehicle challenge program, as you mentioned. That's a design build competition for undergraduate university engineers. And there too, I mean, it's a whole different end of the scale in terms of electronic controls of actual fluid power products and designing a fluid power circuit that actually propels a vehicle forward. And there again, I see the same magic in the eyes when they're actually able to build something that moves under, like, if under the power of the fluid, if you will. And I think it's that opportunities that is presented to them through the technology that's of most interest and creates the most excitement and buzz for all students.
Well, you sort of answered the question I was going to ask next, but that's how you go about bridging the gap between student interest and actual careers in the fluid power industry.
That's a great question. It's increasingly a focus of what we're trying to accomplish in the organization and in the foundation that we support. As I said, we do a lot of programs that introduce students to the technology and to the industry, but getting them to convert, if you will, to employees or career-minded professionals in the industry actually remains a challenge. And the thing that works most frequently in that regard is direct contact with people in the industry. So a lot of the programs that we do are designed not just to educate the young students, but to connect them directly to people in the industry, either role models, younger professionals, maybe not too unlike themselves, but also hiring managers. The need to get the member companies or the companies in the industry to kind of show up at these events and do the recruitment is the most important piece of that transition.
Yeah, that sort of leads into the next question here, Eric. The role of manufacturers and distributors alongside the NFPA to progress this effort.
It's absolutely pivotal. I mean, they're the ones that actually do the hiring, right? So NFPA doesn't hire any of these students. They have to be hired by one of the companies that belong to NFPA. And we can do a good job educating and we can do a good job selling the industry, if you will, but we can't make that final connection. So we are fortunate that we have a fair number of our manufacturers and distributors in our membership who are engaged in these programs. And they've reaped the benefits of making those connections and bringing those young, educated students into their organizations.
We've got some great initiatives going on, and hopefully this isn't an unfair question, but do you think companies themselves are doing enough to support your initiatives, or is there still more that could be done?
There's always more that can be done. Yeah, there's always more that can be done. NFPA has 300 members. 300 companies in its membership currently, and it's a very small fraction of them that are deeply engaged in the programs as I just described. So we would love to get more member companies plugged into these programs and getting the value that we're able to deliver them out of it. So, companies have a lot of hiring needs. Fluid power trained engineers and technicians are only one piece of the larger puzzle from the company's point of view. And so sometimes they're challenged with putting the right resources in the right places to bring on all the people that they need to bring on. But they certainly could be doing more in partnering with NFPA on these programs.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Eric. Large part of that, I think, is due to, onboarding and training and having the resources to be able to handle that at the level that needs to be handled at this point with the retirements that are
Right.
happening.
Yep.
Certainly. When you think about how fluid power is positioned today, in your mind, what needs to change about how we talk about the industry to garner more interest?
It's another great question and a challenging one in a lot of ways. I always go back to that light that I see in the young people's eyes when they see something move. And I really think that we need to talk about the capabilities more of the technology and what knowledge of the technology allows people to do with that equipment, if you will. Hydraulics, as an example, is Anything that is very heavy and needs to move with precision, hydraulics is your only technology that's going to be able to do that effectively. And the kinds of forces involved and the kinds of applications that we're talking about in these cases are really interesting and exciting things. And to get people interested and excited about playing a role in making that motion happen, I think is really an important piece of the puzzle, because I think that's what the young people get excited over. It's less about the formulas and the schematics, and it's more about the big piece of machinery actually moving in a controlled fashion. So I'd love to talk more about those kinds of things in those networks.
Yeah, agreed. Makes the world move.
Yep, completely.
There's so many other things going on nowadays in industry. I mean, with AI coming on strong, quantum computing. I mean, just so many things out there for young people to get into. What else can you do to compete for the attention and compete with industries that seem to be more perhaps cutting edge, if you will?
Yeah, I tend not to focus too much on other technologies and other industries, and I don't really view them as competitors. The type of individual who is excited and interested in engineering or fluid power technology specifically won't be swayed by some of those things, because they don't have the kinds of applications that we're talking about, right? So, and on top of that, all of those cutting edge technologies, be it AI or be it electronic control or computer programming, those are all part of fluid power too, right? So we talk a lot about a electronically controlled fluid power system is a fluid power system. An AI sensitive and reactive fluid power system is a fluid power system, meaning that all of those technologies are part of what fluid power is, increasingly so in the marketplace. So anybody who's interested in those kinds of technologies, you can do that within fluid power, and you get to apply it to something that actually makes a difference in the world. So to me, that's the message to send. Whether that's competing against the other technologies, I don't know. It's all kind of part of the same basket from my perspective.
What do you think success looks like the next 5 to 10 years in terms of awareness and engagement from your perspective?
That's a tough question to answer. More, I guess, would be the simple answer. More engagement and more awareness. We're going to measure that at NFPA through the growth of these programs that we do to reach out to younger people and get them interested and educated in fluid power. We've seen a lot of growth in that territory over. We've mentioned the foundation a couple times. We started the foundation back in 2007, so almost, what is that, 25 years now, something like that, maybe not so many. So that's when we first started to kind of put major resources behind some of these programs and some of these challenges. And we've seen a ton of growth over that time. So there's a lot more that we want to see in terms of getting more young people interested and connected to the industry.
Oh, since we're talking about all this is a good point. How does someone get involved? Who do they reach out to? And that's, involvement in the NFPA itself. And then a step beyond that, Eric, someone who would like to be a mentor or assist with the vehicle challenge or sponsor the vehicle challenge or
Yeah.
that sort of thing. How does one get involved? Who do they reach out to? What's the process there?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first easy step would be to go to our website, nfpa.com. You'll find all kinds of information there about the different programs and how to get engaged. A lot of it is raising your hand. People are free to contact me or any member of my team if they want to get involved in one of these programs. And we always are looking for industry members to serve as mentors or coaches or judges at a lot of these education competitions that we run, be it the Action Challenge or the Vehicle Challenge. So the pathway is there through our website, and we welcome those contacts.
Very good. And I imagine all the locations, the college locations where this is happening are all on there as well.
Yep,
So
exactly.
one can
Yep.
just go on and say, okay, I'm close to here and this is
Yeah,
what I
and at
want
the
to do.
time of our recording right now, we're just a few weeks away from the 3 Vehicle Challenge events, which will be taking place in April of 2026. And so you can't miss those opportunities to come see and meet the students and get involved in those programs. So if people are interested, please go to our website and let us know.
Do you have to be a member of NFPA to do that?
We would prefer that, to be honest. It's a lot of the work that we do is supporting the membership. We frequently let folks come and kick the tires at least once before we impose that restriction on them. But yes, we are in service of our members. So we're trying to get our members plugged in.
Very good. And where are the 3 coming up in April, please, Eric?
Well, you're putting me to the test. So I won't be able to give you the dates unless you let me look at the calendar here. But so there are 3 of our member companies are hosting these events. And so I know the first is in Sarasota, Florida, hosted by Sun Hydraulics. And then the next 2, I forget what order they come in. One will be in Rockford, Illinois, hosted by IMI, Precision Manufacturing. And the third will be in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, hosted by IFP Motion Solutions. And so we've worked hand in hand with our members, not just to help plan these events, but to actually host them. And it's a great opportunity for them, at least, to showcase themselves to those students.
Very good. Very good. Well, Eric, we appreciate your time. We know you're busy. It
Yeah, we
was
sure
a
do.
pleasure having you on today.
Thank you. My pleasure as well.